Rachel with Spunky Misfit Girl here, and I am so excited for this little project today because it was so fun and easy to make and just turned out really beautiful. And I'm going to call this a little fairy junk journal, and it is made from a twig, and I'm using handmade papers mostly from Album Love Handmade on Etsy, who I will link to in the description. She makes beautiful stationery boxes and beautiful papers. And it is just bound together with twine, and just a cute little guy. Probably not the sturdiest thing in the world, but makes for a really pretty handmade gift. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is go out and pick up some twigs, some sticks. It's best if they are kind of as straight as possible and hopefully not too super knobbly. We're going to try this one that I have to use for the one I'm going to make in the video is a little bit curved and a little bit knobbly, so we'll see how it goes. But it worked out pretty well with this straight guy here. And so that's what we're gonna make. You're gonna also need some twine and some pages. So once you have your stick or sticks that you're gonna use to bind your notebook, you're gonna cut your pages to size. I mean, it's up to you. I mean, realistically, like probably I think this is a little too curved. I'm gonna leave it the size that it is. And I've cut some pages. It might end up being a little wonky with some space here between my pages, or maybe I'll try to kind of let it sit like this so it all lines up. But so what I've done is I cut a couple of covers in the same kind of color that match the height of the stick and kind of whatever width that I wanted or felt like was good for that height. And then I cut some pages that were just a little bit smaller than those covers. And I wouldn't recommend doing too many just because this is a pretty bulky, kind of not super strong binding. So I've got 5 here, and I think that's probably about right. I probably wouldn't go too much higher than that in terms of how many pages you put in here. And so once you have your pages and your covers all cut to size, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put them all together where we want them to be bound. And I'm going to clip them all together and make some holes. Okay, so I think this should stay together fine if we do this and this. And so we've got 5 holes on this one. This guy's pretty long. We probably could do another. So the first thing I'm gonna do is kind of find my middle. And you can measure this if you want, but it's not a big deal if you don't. You know, it's a pretty organic feeling, woodsy sort of project. And so it's kind of one of those kinds of things where it's really not a huge deal. So I want a little space away from the edge. I don't want to be right on the edge there. So I'm going to do 1 in the middle, and then I'm going to go 1 kind of up here close to the top, 1 down here, by the bottom, and then I'm gonna do in the middle of each of those. Now, I found the tutorial for this on social media somewhere, Instagram, maybe. And they did big holes. Their holes were big. That's really not even, but I'm okay with that. They did like the bigger size of the crocodile, which I can see why you'd want to, especially if you're using bigger twine like this, which I used, which was fairly fussy. But I like the smaller holes, and because it's already kind of a loose binding, I think I'm gonna do the smaller holes again, even though I know that tends to make the sewing a little bit tricky, or I guess threading is maybe what you call it. It's technically not exactly sewing here. Although you could use a needle, but if you're using this twine, the twine that I'm using is too big to go through even my big fat bookbinding needles. So I'm just using my crocodile. I'm using the 1/8 inch setting, and I am punching on my little X's to get my holes all ready to go. Okay, and so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my twine, and I think what I might actually do this time is try using, I have a slightly skinnier twine. It's not quite as bulky. And I think I'm gonna try using that one and see how that goes. So I'm gonna do 1, 2, and 3 so that I should have plenty. And like I said, you could use a needle if you wanted here, but it just doesn't really fit with my twine. Okay, so then the first thing we're gonna wanna do is come up from the bottom through that first hole. And we're gonna wanna tie our twig on. I'll try to see if I can do this in a way that's gonna make this curvy twig work okay for me. This is a little bit of a fiddly thing before you get it all ready to go properly. I'm gonna do 2 knots because this thing wants to go all over the place. I really should have had a straighter twig. The straighter one was not so much of a pain. Okay, so we tied it on the twig, so now we're gonna take this back around this long piece here and not lose our twig. And we're gonna take this long piece and we're gonna go back up underneath through that same hole again, which is why the bigger twine was kind of a pain, because that made this part very difficult. Okay, so once you're up, then we're gonna go down through the second hole, just like this. Oops, but we want our twine to stay together. Let's not pull it apart here. Okay. Yeah, it's bunching up. That's okay, that's the end. It's not gonna be a big deal. So then we're losing our twig. Let's get that guy back in there. If you have a straight twig, this is gonna be way easier, I promise. Just this curvy twig really doesn't wanna sit in the right spot. Okay, and so then we're gonna come around the twig and go under the stitch. And that's gonna help get our twig kind of situated in place a little better once it's got another stitch around it. Okay? And then we're gonna go down through the next hole, and I think I'm actually gonna cut just a little bit of that edge off. Try to get it to stay together a little better. I should have glued the tip of it. All right, coming through. And then that's gonna go around the twig and under my stitch. Just like that. My twig will start staying on there a little better. My knot actually didn't get quite as tight as I would have liked. Just because it's so curvy, it's a little hard to maneuver. So now we're gonna go down the fourth hole and around our twig, underneath the stitch. These are just absolutely darling. And then on the last hole, we're still gonna go underneath and around if we can make it happen with this stubborn piece of twine that wants to come apart. A little bit of good old-fashioned spit will do the job. Okay, and then around the twig and underneath the stitch one more time. And then we're gonna go back through our hole on the bottom. One more time. So we can tie ourselves off back here. And actually, since I don't need a lot of this, I'm plenty long. Just cut my guy off a little bit. Still doesn't really want to go through there. Come on, last hole. Last hole. Don't be so fiddly for me. The other one that I did came together so much more easily and nicely. It's funny because I decided to use this twine because it was a little skinnier and I thought that would make it easier, but it's actually coming apart a lot more easily too, which is making it just as fiddly. But if you get a straight twig and some cooperative twine, it's really not very nice to lick it either, I've got to say. It's not like licking thread. It's very hairy, fuzzy twine. All right, go through there. And I've got a nice hole. It's really plenty of room in the hole. It's just that it just slides right apart and doesn't want to come through. There we go. Come on. All y'all, don't break up. Well, okay. It's totally fuzzing on me. Darn it. Okay, I think that's okay. We still have enough. If I can just get it to go through this last hole and cooperate. And it's skinnier now, so that should be possible. Okay, here we go. Oh my goodness. And we've come down out of our top twig stitch too. Okay, so we can just readjust that a little bit and it's gonna be fine. It's still going to be a very beautiful little project. Okay, and so then in the back, we're just going to tie it. I'm just going to slide it through this bottom stitch and give it a knot. And a second one again too, so that hopefully it is plenty sturdy. Definitely not the most, you know, strictly super tight binding that you'll ever do, but that's okay. That's part of its charm. And that is the basics. Now this guy, I'm gonna see if I can cut him off with my scissors because he really is in the way. There. Because it's curved, it's better for it to kind of sit with that side down, and that knob was really in the way. So I recommend getting straight twigs, not curved ones, no knobs. But it worked out fine anyway. And we can give it a little decoration on its front so that it's as cute as this one. What should we do to it? I have all this. I got this stationery box from Album Love Handmade. I've got all these little bits and bobs from her that I kind of feel like go very well with these fairy notebooks, because she has a very kind of light, I don't know, these are glossy. I don't like those. She has a very light weight style. Something like that could be cute. You know, it's a sort of, I like that kind of label-y thing in the middle. What other kind of little things? The problem is that, like, most of the journals I make, these kinds of things won't fit. So it would be actually very good if I can, see, I wish that that was like a beige or a cream. Maybe I can make it brown. It's good to use these things with these little very organic notebooks, because I don't know that I'll use them otherwise. That's cute. I feel like I need some texture too, though. I wonder about my my brown stuff. Kind of like the idea of this thing in here, but I don't know that it'll work. I'm kind of happy with this, where it's at, so maybe something like this. Do I have others like that that could go at the top? I don't know. Kind of want some words too. I love how the words kind of bring everything together, you know? But I don't, oh, I have a this moment. Okay. I also have some flowers here. Do I want, I don't think I want flowers on this. Okay. I could put, it starts to get a little busy here if I'm not careful. I also have these flower themed ones from another project that I have waiting for me, but I don't think they'll fit. I think I might go ahead with it just like this. I'm liking that. It might benefit from just a little bit of texture, but I don't know if, I think that's not right. And this, maybe this could work. I thought it was going to be too pink, but maybe something like this could work underneath here. Or should I find something brown? Ooh, or I've also got this white embossed stuff. That might be a little much too, though. I don't know. I kind of like the little touch of pink. Let's cut that off. You can see. All right, so this guy's got to go on first. And then we can see exactly where I want to put the pink stuff. Him in the middle. This guy kind of goes here. Taking this guy over the top. Maybe like that. And then our egg in the center. And then I had this guy up here, kind of. Could maybe get him on the pink too to bring it all together really well. I think I want to ink my edges though of things, including this little guy. Maybe ink up the top of this one too because it's a little glossy. Okay, this guy goes on too. Ooh, that vellum always, I should have done a little bit less with the glue because the vellum always really shows the glue. And it doesn't really, I'm not really covering it up enough. Yeah, this is going to be tricky too because that also needs glue, but it's so open. With the Fabri-Tac, it can show and not look great sometimes. This might be a project for some art glitter glue or something different that dries with a little bit less gloss to it. Paris. There we go. Maybe I should put, maybe if I put something like this up here with a little bit of, ooh, I like that. Let's brown it up. I'm changing my mind on that. These might be stickers, but I think it is a sticker. Can't tell. Ugh. I am not gonna get that off of there if it is. And anyway, I still wanna glue it because it's just better to glue it. Let's take this little guy. This is what came off of our binding thread. And we'll add that on there too because I like that look with these. really organic feeling, nature-y notebooks. Put that guy there. Doesn't get away from me so easily. And then we're gonna put this guy in here like this. Yeah, I like it. There, and that's our second little fairy notebook. Aren't they cute? They're just so darling. This would be a great project with kids too. I think pretty easy. Doesn't really need any sharp things. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate every one of you. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe. It really helps my growing channel when you do that. And I will see you in the next video.